Good afternoon, everybody. And as you join, I'm going to start precisely on time. Some of you, as you arrive, I'll welcome you. Today, we're going to continue our conversation around following our theme, which is on unconventional wisdom for a joyful life. And today, we're going to focus on our principle number 3. I'm going to go right through it, but I'm really hoping, especially you, Shanaz, to have a bit of a dialogue today. And just to remember, it is called unconventional. All right, so let me introduce today's topic. Absolute passion is the highest form of consciousness. Right, so let me repeat that. Absolute passion is the highest form of consciousness. So I thought what would be good is to probably start with an opening quote by Francis Vaughan, which is interesting. And you can comment about this, so make a note somewhere there and we can come back to this particular quote. But Francis Vaughan says, "We have thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but we are not our thoughts, feelings, or emotions." I can think of a biblical quote that says, "What a man thinks in his heart, so is he." So, therefore, question is, does behavior define who we are? And do how I show up define who I am as a thought? And these are just, thoughts coming from this particular quote. So let me break down what this says, because it's not always clear what these unconventional wisdom statements are. But if you just do a bit of a search, is the word absolute, right? We break it down this way. The word absolute could mean being unlimited, being unconditional. What is passion? I think we all seem to think what passion is, but in this context, a strong feeling or emotion or a strong liking or a desire. So when you put all of these things together and we say, well, absolute passion, what would that now sound like? Well, here's my attempt. It's an unconditional or unlimited strong feeling or desire. Then when it talks about the highest form of consciousness, what is that in its context? Well, it is the awareness to create a life of your own choosing. Isn't that brilliant? So when you put this then together, absolute passion is the highest form of consciousness, right? Then it reads, it is the unconditional or unlimited strong feeling or desire that creates the awareness to design a life of your own choosing. So one could have an absolute passion about your career, your profession, your ministry, or your calling. And you could be absolutely passionate about your life. And while you're being absolutely passionate, it is being completely non-judgmental at the same time. Now, how is that even possible? What is it that we mean about being non-judgmental? Well, to be non-judgmental requires detached involvement, right? So, what are the principles of detached involvement? How do you even get into that space? Well, here's some examples. It's not exhaustive as usual. It's just some tidbits of where we come from. So, to get to this place of being non-judgmental or detached involved in your life, your career, with other people around you, here are some of the things you need to either aspire to or recognize in yourself or work towards, right? So, I see only perfection in others. Amazing. Therefore, people are perfect. The world is perfect. I create my life each moment. That feeling that, you are in charge. You have the freedom of choice to create your life each and every moment. Here's something that's combined with being completely non-judgmental and having this form of a detached involvement is I am fearless, right? So there's a complete absence of fear. To top it all is this statement, belief, this conviction that you need to hold is that you unconditionally love anything and everyone. So, therefore, what is it that we want? I mean, what is the point of having this conversation every week and these principles? What we're saying is to live a joyful life. Can you imagine one that is lived without any fear? Can you imagine a life that is so intense in the journey that you're following, whether it's just generally in life, or whether it's in a career? Unlimited strong feeling or desire creates the awareness to design a life of your own choosing. Isn't that just brilliant? So how does one really apply this particular principle? And I'll summarize and I'll throw open the floor for some conversation. So as applied, right, is when we consider our personal dramas, right, is life unfolds in a certain way and there is a story surrounding what we are experiencing. So the first point, if one views this unconventional wisdom and wants to apply it, okay, if absolute passion is the highest form of consciousness, is do not get caught up in your own drama or story. See it as a drama or story. Just see it. And by the way, the truth of the story may not be in the story. The truth of the life, the truth of the experience may not be in the story. But what we are asking for is that you become aware of your own emotional responses. Because remember what we're talking about in terms of absolute passion, right? Intense feelings, emotions, desires sitting there. Unlimited. So be aware of how you are responding. So viewing the big picture is so important. And so as you are aware of how you're responding, what those emotions are, is being able to step outside of those feelings and situations for a moment. I'm not too sure that we can always succeed by doing so, but this is for the moment, right? And then you find another way to view what is happening, right? So you change your perspective, you change your vantage point, basically. And so when it comes then to being aware of your own emotional responses, what we're saying is now you acknowledge what you are feeling. You don't fight your feelings. And then you ask the questions, why do I feel the way I do? And so, for example, and something very relatable is when we have feelings of anger and resentment, etc., is to rather develop a sense of curiosity as to why am I feeling this way, right? Rather than judging what you are going through. And what I mean by that is like, okay, this is wrong. I should not be feeling this. No, you don't do any of those. Rather the question is, why am I feeling this way? And some more questions around unpacking this awareness around how you feel is, what am I believing about this situation that causes this anger or resentment to well up? What are my thoughts? What are my previous experiences around this? Right? That triggers this emotion. Many times, anger itself that rises up, can be a reason that there's a threat that you are perceiving or experiencing in your environment. So, what is the personal threat to you? And then, is it real or is it imagined? What would it take to release the judgment that's sitting behind that anger? Because what happens is that you now want to blame something. You want to. So this is where blame shifting happens. Okay, I want to blame the world. I want to blame a person. And so, what would it take to release that judgment? Are you willing to give it up? And then, quite frankly, can you forgive? And so I just want to kind of wrap this up and come back to what makes this possible is to be completely non-judgmental. Now, is this even possible for a normal human being? Well, we can develop this culture of detached involvement. And what that means is that we can both be a participant and an observer in our own lives, right? So how do we do that? Well, remember, here's some basic things that we need to practice. We've got to say to ourselves, well, people are perfect. Now, I know for some of you listening to this will tell me immediately, no, people are not perfect. That's why, the jails are full. No. When you see people are perfect in their calling, in their purpose, because their calling and their purpose is perfect, people are perfect, fearfully, wonderfully put together. All right? They don't have to have a particular size, form to make them perfect. It's the belief that people are perfect. And the world, as it is perfect. If you can start to strive towards changing your mindset around these two things, people being perfect, the world being perfect. People don't do perfect things. They are not perfect things that are happening in the world. But your belief at the very essence of everything, that people are perfect, the world is perfect, then you know that you can be non-judgmental in how you look at them. You are able to release them unconditionally. And this frees you up to create a life of your choosing each moment. You don't perceive threats. And if they are real threats, you are fearless. I am fearless. Be able to say, I am fearless and mean it. Nothing drains your energy and contracts your vision more than fear. What is that really? I like the acronym of fear when people talk about false expectations appearing real. Right? It's an expectation. It's what you think the future is going to hold. And it's those negative expectations that drive fear. Don't have negative expectations. Displace negative expectations with positive ones that says, what I see in the future is perfect for fulfillment. And then something that I suppose can challenge us every day is to love unconditionally. Okay, so I'm going to end it right there and just ask, what are your thoughts? Or is there anything that triggered you in any particular way?
Hi, Jacques. I'll go first.
Sure.
I think that obviously this is going very deeply philosophical today. But I think that I was triggered by that idea of that consciousness, like the ultimate consciousness, and it reminded me that is it really possible? Because I was thinking that, with the professional background that I have, when I've seen people be this fearless and be this, aware of everything, they either on substances or they, people don't respond to them very well. So, so and I, you occasionally you do come across those people who can be like that, but I think that it's almost like, maybe for me, can I have moments like that? Because if I had to be self-aware 90% of the time, I wouldn't do anything, even, because that awareness. So I think that there are limitations to that. But I think that there's a lot of truth in the idea. For me, what caught me had me thinking was, you spoke about forgiving people, releasing them. Can I be curious about what is triggering me? What am I perceiving this as a threat? And so I think that's really got me going and thinking, because and I love this idea of detached
Involvement.
involvement. So what I find in my professional life and in my personal life is that maybe our families don't think of it of like they want us to be very involved. I come from a colored family who everyone is in each other's business, and my mom still treats me like a child at this age, and still feels abandoned when we leave her. So what I'm trying to get at is, I there's part of my life that I strive to be that and have to be, but what I find is that people respond to it in different ways, and they feel that like I've heard, like my mom we're going through a bit of a crisis with her, and my sister and I, she says we have no empathy for her. But I think it's the way she perceives the empathy, that it means catering in. So I'm like, I can love my mom and I can care for her, but I can actually also be emotionally detached from the situation. And I think that some people struggle with that, when I'm able to do that. But my career, in a sense, depends on it, because if I had to become emotionally attached to every traumatic story that I hear, I'd be a wreck. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I really get parts of it, and parts of it I'm like, this is really tough. This is something I need to work towards. Yeah. So those are just my thoughts.
Well, it's excellent. Look, this is something that we if we are aware that the possibility exists, to tap into it. And I like what you said, and it is about that moment by moment. If we can think about it like this, is to have this strong desire, right? That when we are aware in the moment is therefore to create the life or even in the moment, or the outcome in that moment of our choosing, right? It really, it sets an attitude rather, and the consciousness drives the attitude, in which, when we think about it in that moment, is to say, well, I am not helpless, I am not a victim, I am powerful, I am empowered, right? And to fully embrace, I mean, look, I know there's different schools of thought when it comes to this, is that people would say, you know, this freedom of choice does not exist. All right. But I think what this principle is trying to remind us is that, with awareness, that, you know, we can, if we truly desire that, because the point of this is to have an absolute passion for your purpose in life. For example, you're absolutely convinced you are called. Now, when you have that, the choices that you make, the direction that your life then takes, perpetuates or creates that feeling that actually I am powerful, not to feed my ego, to fulfill my purpose. And when you really understand what your purpose is what impact are you leaving on the world? And you spoke a little bit about, and this is one of the things, is not getting involved in other people's dramas, but not also getting sidetracked, but the own dramas of your story that you're living. So, is to always know that we can create the life of our choosing. And it has to start with the strong desire to do so. And for me, it really, this works if you understand what your purpose is, because then your passion linked to your purpose brings you to this place where you feel like you're creating your life of your own choosing, as defined by how you're living your purpose. Now, I don't know if that sounds even more sort of esoteric or philosophical, but some of it I actually believe. Can you believe that?
I know. I think it makes perfect sense, and those are some of my beliefs and values too. That my about my purpose. When I understand my purpose, and had done some work with Alistair around my purpose. So I get it, and I can actually see that if I am so passionate about my purpose, that it in a sense it takes me out of my drama, you know,
Perfect.
because I'm aligned with what it is, and I come to that conclusion that actually I can choose. I know because I know who I am and my purpose, and whether that's my identity in Christ also, and my God purpose, or my professional, those are all aligned. Then I actually don't feel threatened by whether that's a colleague who seems to be insecure, or whether that's by a family drama. So actually that's really is very helpful in the current situation.
Well, I think you just summed it up so well. I mean, that is the practical application of it. You can then be fearless in your purpose. You don't experience the environment around you with all kinds of opportunities and threats. Um, and what you do know is every day your life, well, let's say every moment, because I like that. Every moment your life makes sense. Nobody can take away your purpose. You can only give it away. So that choice of living your purpose and then experiencing life, because it takes just one. Every time you're interacting with one person, changing, transforming, even if it is um, getting them to shift their mindset around a particular way, getting them to even look at their lives a little differently. Shanaz, you do incredible work, because it really taps into restoring people to I don't know what the correct term would be, but to a place of health and stability and growth, and um, if in terms, I mean, from a coaching point of view, if we can help the people that we are engaging, our clients, to discover and to be able to articulate what this absolute passion is for a defined purpose, it already becomes the compass. It already, for their lives, and it's therefore then possible to enjoy what you do. Now, people think enjoyment is this happy bubble that we're talking about. It's no, it's actually having the assurance, the peace that what you are doing makes absolute sense and it has meaning. Living a life of meaning, I guess, is why I started coaching. And what it does not mean that there aren't storms and challenges and waves to overcome. But the point is, if you want to have the fuel to continue your journey despite the storms, the challenges, the barriers in your way, you can still enjoy the fact that you are resilient throughout the process. And those moments, despite circumstances, you're living a life of full meaning. And that drives just that sense of, you know, wow, oh, we have load shedding. No, I'm still living my purpose. Well, I'm ill. Well, I'm still living my purpose as long as I can touch somebody in some way. I find creative ways to live my purpose, and that's what we are talking about. And yes, I'm saying we basically just run out of time, but Shanaz, as usual, thank you for engaging with this concept and saying this is quite difficult. But I like how you summed it up for yourself, because when you did that, I realized that for each one of us listening today, we've got to spend the time to identify what we believe our purpose is, and we must reignite the passion for that purpose, and we will be fierce and not be knocked off our perches when we take that step of courage and venture into the unknown. So thank you very much for listening. As usual, the playback is immediate. The playback of last week's one is not available for some reason. Our replays just didn't want to work. But I see this replay will be on. But as usual, we're going to edit it and also put it on YouTube as well. So fascinating. I look forward to having this or having further discussions with you as we embark on Principle 4 next week. Can't wait.
Yes, thank you so much, Jacques. So good today. Again, really will listen to it again. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Shanaz.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you,
good day.
Renee.
Bye.
Bye.